And welcome. I know I'm not Mekla. My name is Regina Peterbergsky, and Mekla and team are having a week off this week. So Chris Thomas and I are here to provide you some awesome content. In a little bit, Chris will be talking about how to launch on Amazon in 2023 using white hat tactics, which are super important. And as you can see, I'm sort of sitting here by the pool in Bali wearing my resort clothes because Chris and I are getting ready to head over in just a little under 4 weeks to Ubud in Bali for our Amazon Collective Mastermind retreat, which is based, as I said, in Ubud, brought to you by Payoneer and Intrepid Advisory, our awesome sponsors. And we've got some fantastic guests, aside from Chris, who a lot of you already know. Bradley Sutton, Leo Scovio, Kirsty Verity, and the real gentleman of the e-commerce space, and my favorite person on Amazon, Steve Simonson. So those are our special guests, plus, of course, Amazon sellers, this time from not just Australia, but from around the world, heavily represented in Southeast Asia. But we do have people flying in from Europe and America, which would be absolutely fantastic. We do have, I think, 3 or 4 spots left, Chris. I'm not sure exactly how many,
That's
something.
Yep, there was a couple of new peeps that applied last night, so
Okay,
I'll be
right.
talking to them today.
So maybe less than that, but
Maybe.
there is still some availability. So if you are interested, it is by application only. We do interview everybody that wants to come to make sure that it's right for your business, as well as that you're at the right level of business. This is not an event for beginners. This is an event for people who are at that high 6-figure, 7-figure, and we've got some 8-figure sellers coming as well. So it's a great way to level up. Wherever level you're at, we're going to help you level up to the next level with not just content from the stage, but also being in a small group environment with some amazing sellers. So that's our little plug at the top of the conversation. I'll go back to the pool now, and and we'll start talking with Chris. Now, if there is anybody here that's watching this that doesn't know who you are, Chris, do you want to just very briefly, in 30 seconds, give us your bona fides?
The 30-second elevator pitch, yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Chris Thomas, been involved in e-commerce since 2001. Currently selling on Amazon and have been selling Amazon since 2014. Also run an agency. I have a podcast called the Australian Seller Podcast. And yeah, I help Amazon sellers every single day. So yeah, pretty busy. It's good fun.
So you're in the trenches. You're in the trenches daily, which is really important because, I'm less in the trenches these days. So it's been a long time since I've launched a product on Amazon. And when I started in 2015, things were very different to how they are now. And that's why this topic is so important for sellers who are selling on Amazon. Now, we're going to talk about America, Australia, or a little bit of both?
It's a bit of both. There are some things that will only apply to the United States that I'll be talking about today, but the approach is very similar here in Australia if you wanted to launch here or any other marketplace that Amazon operates in. So, it's this tactic that I'm going to present this morning or today is something that I've used to launch products for clients in the US and in Australia. Last year, my most successful launch with a client where we sold in 6 weeks $1 million worth of product, and it was just one ASIN, one product. So
right, well, let's get straight into it. So what did you do step by step?
Yep.
All right, to sell $1 million worth of product in 6 weeks in the US with one ASIN. Now, see, that should be the title.
Yeah, and honestly, it should have been $2 million, but they kept running
out of stock, right?
They kept running out of stock. They could not keep up. Once they were on that flywheel, we're off to the races. And I'll tell you what the product is, and and how that actually happened as well. And
let's go.
Also, this is also a product as well that was FBM, so it was fulfilled by merchant. Wow. We didn't even ship it into Amazon. We shipped it in at the very beginning.
Yeah.
to
Which
get out.
again, so those people who know a little bit about Amazon and have been selling for a little while will know that when you're selling an FBM, getting that flywheel, as you call it, going is just that little bit slower than it is with FBA. You know, FBA,
Yeah.
you do get a much smoother ride with
Yep.
launching and ranking. Okay, so this was
Okay.
an FBM product
Yep.
in the US,
That's correct.
$1 million in 6 weeks. What did you do?
All right. So this was an 8-pound box. It's about 3.5 kilograms of fun size chocolates. Really simple product. It was a brown box full of chocolates. That's it. We went hard and we wanted to get in on the bulk Halloween candy keywords. So if anybody wants to do a search on that keyword, you can see it's like a massive spike. It goes up to around about 2 million people a month are looking for bulk Halloween candy and Halloween candy bulk. They were the two keywords that we went after.
So I'm going to ask a question. So Halloween is end of October. So when
Correct.
did you start
Mm-hmm.
looking at the keywords and putting your strategy together? Because
Easter.
obviously with these special events, you need to have some time.
That's right.
Lead time, right?
We needed. We did.
So when did you start the process?
Well,
How far out?
the process actually began before Easter of last
Mhm.
year, and what happened is that we actually launched the product probably about 4 or 5 weeks before Easter, when we were able to ship the product into FBA. So Amazon has a policy, what's called the multiple policy, so that from I think it's about the middle or towards the end of April each year, if you're selling chocolates or any other multiple type product, you are not allowed to send them into the warehouse. In fact, they'll send them back to you. So,
Okay.
so we were able to get a bunch of reviews quite early on. We used
Before that strategy kicked in,
that's
before
right,
that rule kicked in. Did you know
correct.
that rule was coming out?
Oh yeah, we know. Well, the
Right.
client knows because he's been dealing with it for around about 14 years.
Right. Okay.
so he's very aware. So anyway, we had a pretty good Easter. We sold, I think it was well over $100,000 of that product in Easter. And then I said, look, why don't we take a bit of a punt here and go after Halloween? All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to merchant fulfill this product so that we'll be one of the very few sellers who are selling, a bulk chocolate box or a box full of chocolates. There was a lot of risk around this because we were shipping, from through July, August, September.
Of course, yes, it's
as we
very hot in the US.
it is, and so
Sending chocolates can be, especially
uh,
with delays in shipping.
yeah.
Yeah. So did you
Well,
get some negative reviews, or was it all
oh
pretty good?
yes, no, we did, but we still held our 4 stars. So he has an agreement with FedEx, so that meant that we were doing 2-day shipping state across the states. Maybe with the exception of Hawaii, whatever, but we were able to ship them with ice packs as well. So the 2 days is just enough time generally to get a box to a customer in the US within that sort of time frame before the ice melts, and then we've got a problem.
Gotcha.
And look, there was plenty of people that did. The box was tossed onto the front doorstep. It was in the bright sunshine.
And it just melted. Yeah.
But it ends up with a gluggy mess, and they're not returnable either. So you do get some pretty cranky peeps, but. Anyway, so that was really the lead up to where we got to with this approach. Now, if I was doing it, and I have done this again with other launches as well, and I was using FBA, the very first thing I would do is to take advantage of the honeymoon, is to create the product listing and then close it immediately. Wait for the inventory to come in. What's a really important step here as well? I'm going to get back to the actual story in a minute, how it all ties back in. But on an FBA launch, that enables you to take advantage of Vine. Okay, so in America only, not in Australia, and it's called a 2-step launch that I like to run. So what I do is I tell the customer we're going to create the listing, we're going to close the listing down immediately. We're going to wait for the inventory to arrive with Amazon and for it to be immediately fulfillable using FBA. The second
for those that don't know, explain what the honeymoon period is.
So the honeymoon period is a short period of time where the sales history. Amazon basically gives new products around about 6 weeks or so, 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes a bit longer, sometimes a little bit shorter. But you get that sort of period where Amazon will give your product a shot. If you can prove to Amazon that the product is popular, it's selling well, et cetera, which I'll get into. But that's a really crucial period. Often it's very hard to launch a product again later If it, once it's out of the honeymoon period and it's got a very poor sales history, it's almost impossible to re-rank it. You'll never enjoy
I've
the
been
launch.
there, done that.
It's
Yeah,
horrible.
I know that one.
Yeah,
that's why it's so important not to run out of stock if you can possibly avoid it.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, if it's possible. Anyway, getting back. So the second thing that's really crucial as well with these sorts of launches is that things can go wrong during a launch. So what I like to do is to set the maximum order quantity to just 2 units. So,
and if anybody has heard you speak before, they'll know why that is. And if you haven't heard that story, just Google Chris Thomas on any other podcast where he talks about the reason for that.
yeah, failed promotions. But anyway, that was
Yes.
that was a very expensive mistake and cost me a lot of money. So yeah, set the max order quantity to 2. Now, there's also a little known fact as well. Some people know this, of course, but Amazon has a different way of calculating conversion rate. So typically, if you get an order, let's say that 10 people order your product from 100 visitors to your listing. Okay, so you've got a conversion rate, typical conversion rate on an e-commerce website of 10%. Okay,
Yep.
10 out of 100 people will buy your product. On Amazon, it's different. If 10 people buy your product, but they buy 2 of your product, then the conversion rate goes up to 20%, even though there's been only 10 orders. So the conversion rate can be influenced using max order quantity. Obviously, you can set it to 5.
I always had on my listing, buy one as a gift as well.
Clever.
Buy one for yourself and one as a gift, because that's exactly what it does. And Amazon looks at those conversions when it looks at where to place you organically and also where to put your ads, right? Because they want to get the most bang for their buck for ad placement as well as organic placement. So it's super important.
Yeah. So what you're looking for when you launch a product is there's 3 things. There's the conversion rate, which we've talked about. So the higher the conversion rate, obviously, the better compared to, say, your competitors. The second thing is sales velocity. So how many sales are you getting in a designated period of time, per week, per month? If you're getting very similar sales or even exceeding the sales of other competitors for those keywords for a period of time, then that's something that Amazon really takes a close look at as well, its algorithm. And the final thing is just what I call sales through keywords. So sales through keywords equals rankings. And the difference between Amazon and, say, Google is that advertising on Amazon, keywords, if someone clicks on your ad on Amazon, those keywords, those sales through the keywords that you're getting, count and help you rank for that keyword. Whereas on Google,
that's right.
On Google, it doesn't work that way. So if you bid on a keyword on Google and someone clicks on your ad, it's not going to impact your organic search results. And organic is where the money's at. That's where you really want to try and rank as high as you can for the keywords that you have selected. So what I like to do is so let's get back to the case study on our Halloween candy thing, right? So we'll try and tie it all back together. Is that we then, so with that, what we did there was we then switched out the keywords from a bulk Easter candy type keyword situation to a bulk Halloween candy.
They were both on your listing and in your ads, right?
In our ads, exactly. We literally changed the product from an Easter candy product to a Halloween candy product. Now, the advantage that we had with that was that because the sales had been so strong over Easter, it meant that the history of the product, the sales history of the product, was really strong. So it made it very easy for us to then switch the product to a Halloween candy product, right, without too much effort at all. The other thing that we did too was that we wanted to launch the product when it was quiet. So there wasn't a lot of search demand for bulk Halloween candy or Halloween candy bulk. So we started the launch.
Of course, means your ads are cheaper, right? Because you're not competing with everybody else.
Exactly, Regina, exactly.
Perfect strategy.
Thank you. So that we launched that at I think it was around the middle of August last year. So we were 2 months out. And within about a week, or 2 weeks, we were already in the top 5 position for those keywords, and the traffic was really starting to ramp up on those keywords as people started thinking about, Halloween.
Of course.
By the end of September, we were doing 600 units a day of a $65 box of candy.
Amazing.
So do the maths. It was like $25,000 a day in sales. It was crazy. Even more. Sorry, it was closer to $30,000. By the sort of middle of October, that was when we started. It was actually the 10th of October. I remember it quite clearly. We ran out of inventory, and they had to put their store on vacation mode for days at a time to try and keep up. We were getting an order for a $65 box of candy, merchant fulfilled, every 20 seconds, maybe even every 10 seconds. It was completely and utterly berserk. And they were putting their store on vacation mode because, first of all, they couldn't get enough stock. This guy was buying pallets of inventory from Costco.
Of course.
Costco business. And they couldn't keep up with the amount of inventory that he was ordering from them. And then he had a team of people, an army of workers,
picking and packing
and making these boxes and trying to catch up on the orders that they'd already received to get them out within 2 days. It was just total and utter chaos. And his store was literally turned off for 10 days of the most critical time, where it was just being turned on and turned off and turned on and turned off. And even though we were running out of stock and turning the store shut, every time the store went open again, we went straight back to a number 3 position or a number 2 position for that keyword. I've never seen anything like it. So, like I said, we would have easily done $2 million on that one product had he been able to keep up. So this year is going to be really fun.
So you're gearing up again. Of course. Well, where are we now? We're in end of May. So
That's
time
right.
to gear up. So, okay. So that was a special occasion, special event type thing. And I know that one of our big sellers who's actually been with us to the Amazon Collective a couple of times. And I know that he always says the best time to launch for Christmas is sort of like October, November. That's his his strategy. Is new products are always launched October, November. For that high level traffic.
That's right.
So let's just go back and talk about this strategy for somebody who perhaps does not have a special event like this. So it's start the listing, close down the listing, get your initial reviews, Vine.
Yeah. So actually, going back there, just to clarify. So you get some inventory in, you then enable Vine. So you open the listing so that the listing is available to Vine reviewers. So you're not ranking it, you're not launching it. It's just sitting there.
Getting your first reviews, which is pretty much the only way to now Whitehat get reviews. So if anybody is watching old style videos on YouTube or listening to old style podcasts, do not send to your friends, family, Facebook friends, any kind of Facebook groups. Okay, do not under any circumstances do that. Your account will get pinged because Amazon knows all.
It does.
That's why they've set up. Now, how much is Vine now? Is it still $30 per?
No, it's actually $200 to enroll, and you can get 30 reviews per ASIN. Yeah.
Right.
Or a family of ASINs. So if you've got a variation family, you can enroll them all for $200, and have all your colors or your patterns or whatever sizes. Yeah, all available.
Okay, cool. So I mean that's not a bad return on investment if you've got a good product. And the other thing that the Vine reviews is also good for is they'll catch any defects that perhaps you missed, right?
Exactly.
And it's better to know that before you do a big launch. So
yes, an expensive launch because these launches aren't cheap.
Exactly. Okay, so we've opened our listing for Vine. We're now in the honeymoon period.
That's right.
So what do we do next? We set up our ads.
We close the listing.
Oh, we close the listing again.
Yes. So you open the listing, you get your Vine reviews, get them all claimed. It might take a week or two, but don't panic. Just don't try and launch, just get the reviews. So this is a 2-step launch. So you get the reviews first through Vine. Okay. So you open it up, you get the Vine reviews, you wait for and then you close the Vine reviews when they're being claimed, or you close the listing when the Vine reviews have been claimed. So now you're not selling, right? Listing is closed. The Vine reviews.
Now, are we still in the honeymoon period now?
Yep, definitely. So then what happens is that the Vine reviewers start to trickle in. They start reviewing your product. And when you've got about 10 to 15 reviews out of the 30 or so that you've asked for, that's when you go for launch. So then this is when you've got your master keyword list. This is a list of keywords. I'm not going to go into how to do master keyword lists, but you've got a list of keywords that hopefully you've used throughout your listing and your title, that stuff, all the things that Bradley Sutton talks about and we'll be talking about at the Amazon Collective. And then, so we're launching. So then we take 10 of the most important keywords that are all, root keywords that are very specific to the product. I don't care about the volumes. I just want sales to come through those keywords, so that Amazon is really clear about what that listing is, what that product
And
is.
so that's an interesting point you've made, that you don't care about the volumes.
No.
Why do you not care about the volumes?
Well, I know that Brandon Young and others talk about, splitting all the keywords out into different groups based on search volume and all that sort of stuff. I just have never really needed to do that. Like, even though there's different, search volumes on different keywords, there's long tail keywords which don't get anywhere near as much traffic. What I'm trying to do is just get sales locked in on a core group of keywords. And what happens is that Amazon starts showing you for other keywords that are related to this group, this tight group. So no more than 10. I never launch on more than 10 keywords. They're all exact match. I also double the keyword bid that is recommended by Amazon. So, there's a suggested bid there. And so if it says $2, I'll make it $4. You won't pay $4 a click, but I'll make it $4. And on top of that, also, there's a bid multiplying area as well when you're setting up the listing, or indeed just go back into the campaign settings, and you can set a top of search bid multiplier by anywhere up to 900%, but you don't do that. I just do 100%. So really what I'm telling Amazon, if it's a $2 bid, I'm happy to pay $4. Right. Oh, sorry, pay $8 per click.
Pay $8,
but again, you'll never pay that. You won't even come close to it.
Depends on your competition and what you're in.
I've never seen it happen where I've actually paid the maximum bid amount. But hey, I'm still, it could
you're willing
happen.
to do it in order to get that ranking.
Definitely willing to do it, because I need to be at the top of the search result for those keywords. Now, this is the kicker, and this is the bit that a lot of people, a lot of clients really balk at, is that you need to discount the product to make it irresistible.
Yep.
Okay. So
for how long? Well, firstly, by how much and for how long?
Ideally, at least 50%. So if it's a $40 product, drop it to $20. Right. So that no matter what the quality is like, no matter how good your listing is, no matter how good the product is, drop this thing to $20. Remember, you're going to have competitors that'll have hundreds of reviews already, and you're sort of sitting at 10 or 15. Right. You've got to make the listing as attractive as possible.
Right. So it's got to be like a no-brainer.
Absolute no-brainer.
To get that. Now we're doing this in order to get that velocity launch.
Correct.
Now, Amazon doesn't like it when you quickly increase the prices. So how long is it going to take you to then get back up to your $40 target price?
Yeah, good question. So what you do there is you inch the price up after the launch. So the launch is going to take about 8 days. Okay. Now, what I always do too is I take that master list of keywords, those 10 keywords, and I put them into Helium 10's keyword tracking tool. And then I can watch the progress of those, the rankings improve. And after about 8 days, sometimes 10, sometimes even less, you'll see that the rankings will come up, and you'll be in that sort of top 10, top 5 position organically. And that's where we want to be. And once we get there, that's when two things happen. To answer your first question, we start to inch the price up. Okay. So we're going from, say, $20 to 22, usually anywhere from about sort of 10% higher to maybe 20% higher at a pinch. You could probably jump to say $24.
I've had instances where, you actually lose the buy box on your own listing.
That's happened
for
to me.
Doing that.
That's right. So just be careful.
Be a little bit careful. Yeah.
Yeah. And you want to go, say, I would be very conservative, say 10% every 2 days. Okay. So you're at $22 on day one. 2 days later on day 3, you're at, $24, so on and so forth. You can work out the rest. So to get back up to your target price, it helps maintain the velocity of sales, and it also helps maintain the conversion rate. But, those things might drop off a little bit, but by now you're locked. Like you are locked almost for life, unless you run out of stock. Now, at the same time, what we're also starting to do is we're starting to wind back our bids on our advertising. We can't afford to keep doing that. We're going to
afford to spend $8, per click, right?
No. Well, it's usually around about sort of $3.50, even with an $8.
But still, like if you're selling a $20 product and your conversion is 10%, that's $30 to sell a $20 product. Right?
Yeah, it's going to hurt. It does hurt. But this is the sort of, you got to go into the red to go into the black. This is like any kind of launch. If you're opening a shop, you'd have an opening sale, or you'd have a whole bunch of people out, handing out free cakes.
Exactly. It's like, would you spend $2,000 to make, $20,000? Would you spend would you spend $10,000 to make $100,000? That's the, or in your case, so how much did that launch cost when you got your $1 million?
Mhm.
Did you work out how much it actually cost to launch it using this method?
Uh, I've never actually gone back and done the maths, but I can tell you that we were definitely profitable.
Would have
So
thought so.
it wasn't much. It was maybe
Yeah.
$1,000 or something.
Oh, okay.
And he absolutely flat out refused to drop the price by 50%. So that would have been $37.50 or whatever it was. So we ended up we compromised and we launched the product at $47.50, I think it was when we started. And then we inched it up to the 65. And at one point, I think we were at $75. We were still selling, a box of chocolates every 30 seconds. So it was just,
Nice.
it doesn't matter at that point.
Okay, so
Mm.
I'm just going to go through again. So you've got your master keyword list
Mm-hmm.
that you're overbidding,
Correct.
and then once you've got your rank, you bring your bid prices back down so that
Correct.
you want to be. So what is your target ACOS, or do you measure ACOS, or do you measure TARCOS?
Tarkos. I'm more of a Tarkos kind of guy. So
And
yeah,
again, for those who don't know, can you explain what TARCOS is?
yeah, that's a good point. So ACOS is the advertising cost of sales. So that's where any sale that's attributed to an ad,
Yep.
if you've spent $10 on advertising and you've made $100 in income, then your
Yep.
ACOS is 10%.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
Tacos is where you're going, okay, I've spent overall on my advertising, I've spent $10 and
Yep.
I've made $1,000 through either advertising or organic sales, which aren't.
Right. So it's against total sales.
That's right.
Okay.
Then your ACOS would be 1%, right? So ideally your TACOS would be 1%. $10 spend, $1,000 return, pretty easy to work out. So overall, ideally you're looking at TACOS around that sort of 10 to 12 ish.
Yeah,
I
you
think
wouldn't
it's
want it much higher than
generally
that. Yep.
sustainable for most sellers, depending on the margins. And look, again, it all depends on the margin. You need to
Which
know your
goes back
numbers.
to one of my sort of philosophies on this is, if you don't have serious margin to begin with, it's going to be very hard to make profit. And that comes
Yep.
back to when you're sourcing. And I remember when I first got into fashion retail, coming up to 20 years ago, my mentor at the time said, you make your profit when you're doing your buying, right? And that sort of applies in any business. You lock in your profit when you're doing your buying, not when you're doing your selling. So if you've got a $20 product, you wouldn't be buying that for $2 or $3 max,
That's right.
really,
Yeah.
to give you the margins you're going to need to be able to spend on launches and advertising and stay in business,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, because you're going to need margin to be able to buy your next lot of inventory without having to put your hand back in your pocket. And we've all, been there, done that. So
That's
that's
right.
sort of a bit of a mantra: is you make your profit in your buying.
I love that. Yeah. It's
Yeah, you haven't heard that before?
I've no,
Well, not in those words,
not in
perhaps.
those words. That's right. I'll tell you what, though.
So
There was another thing I should mention about Bradley. Obviously he's done a lot of the Maldives honeymoon period stuff and the Maldives launch over the years. Every 50th episode, I think he wanders back over to the Maldives and sits at a pool and does an episode. But there was one that I remember he was talking about using social promotion. So if you go to your advertising section of your Seller Central account, and you'll see the promotions icon or the tab, whatever it is, the link. In there, you've got the buy one, get one, and I think there's a percentage off promotion, but there's also a social promotion. He's used those to launch as well. So that's another white hat tactic that you can try. So you want to
I think probably Leo will be talking about that,
Oh, great.
in more depth. I'm guessing, because he's sort of like the social launch
He is
guru.
That's right. And look, and of course, there's this big topic of launching using external traffic sources, which I'm not an expert in, but that's why we've invited, Leo and
George
Steve, and
also coming, yeah.
That's right, George as well. George Marissa from Clear Ads will be there to talk about, DSP and advertising. So we've really got everything wrapped up in this event with our guests. We have, tacticians, we've got business people, we've got advertising We've got mindset with Kirsty. It's a all round amazing group of VIPs, together with all the experience and the know-how and the years of experience that other sellers that are going to be at our event have already, that have racked up over the years. And Zadrunas is coming. I interviewed him a few months ago, early this year, and he had a $5.5 million exit. He's coming to talk about his experience building a business in Europe.
Amazing.
So
haven't we got is it Alex, the young man who's coming from Australia, who's doing
right.
some huge numbers here in Australia?
He sure is. Yep. So we've got some really successful Amazon sellers based right here in Australia who are selling on Amazon Australia and really racking up some big numbers. So
Fantastic.
it's going to be super exciting.
Last pitch. So thank you, Chris. And I think we're going to rename the topic. How to sell $1 million in 6 weeks with Whitehat launch strategies.
All right.
And I'm sure that there's at least one or two little nuggets in there that anybody who's currently selling on Amazon, irrespective of whether you're just starting out or you're launching a new product, that you can get from that. And once again, to bookend it, we invite you to take a look at joining us in Bali next month in June.
Mm-hmm.
This is our third event for the Amazon Collective. The last two we did do in the Yarra Valley here in Melbourne. And they were, hugely successful, and everybody who came just absolutely loved. Again, it's not just hearing the VIPs who are awesome, but it's also the meeting of other sellers because, it can get lonely out here by the pool where I'm actually in my dining room. It can get lonely. And so, meeting people face to face and forming the relationships. And I know that that's something that Megla and her team are also really big at, with their events that they do.
That's right.
In India and
Vietnam.
And so, as in terms of a calendar of places to meet people and learn and level up your business in a beautiful environment where you can just switch off the world for a little bit and work on your business. It is actually invaluable. So Chris and I invite you to join us. So thank you.
Just head over to theaustralianseller.com/Bali and that'll take you straight to the application page there. Before we sign off though, Regina, and thanks for joining me today as well. It's great. It's been really fun hanging out with you again, as usual.
It is.
I know, it's always fun. I just wanted to say a massive thanks to Megla, of course. She's an amazing woman, and
we love Megla.
Yes, we do. Of course, Margaret and also Kevin as well, the MKK, trio. Make sure that you register as well for October for the India sourcing trip, and obviously next year they'll be running the Vietnam trip again as well. So thanks again, Megla, Kevin, and Marg.
Thanks, guys, and we're going to sign off.